Fran Crippen. In October 2010, Fran Crippen was one of the best swimmers in America. He entered a 10-kilometer race in the UAE. He was 26 years old. The water was almost 87 degrees. Way too hot for a race that long. Other swimmers were collapsing at the finish line. 3 were taken to the hospital, but the race kept going. Fran told his coach he was thirsty at the 8-kilometer mark. Then he kept swimming. He never finished. 2 hours after the race ended, divers found his body underwater, 500 yards from the finish line. There were no rules about maximum water temperature. No one stopped the race. A world-class swimmer died alone. Gus Grissom, on January 27, 1967. Gus Grissom was one of America's first astronauts. He was brave, experienced, respected. He never made it off the ground. Grissom and his 2 crewmates were locked inside their spacecraft for a routine test. They weren't flying anywhere. They were just running through a checklist. Then at 6:31 in the evening, one word came over the radio. Fire! The cabin filled with flames in seconds. The hatch was sealed from the outside. They couldn't get out. In less than 1 minute, all 3 men were dead. Grissom had already told NASA the spacecraft was dangerous. He had called it a lemon. Nobody listened. He died on the launch pad before his mission even started. Franz Reichelt, on February 4th, 1912. Franz Reichelt was a tailor. He was 33 years old. Not a scientist, not an engineer, who had a dream. He wanted to build a wearable parachute suit to save pilots' lives. He spent 2 years working on it. His test dummies kept crashing into the ground, but he didn't give up. He believed the problem was the height. He just needed to jump from higher up. So he picked the Eiffel Tower. He stood at the edge of the first platform. His friends begged him not to jump. He smiled. He said, "See you soon." He hesitated for 40 seconds, then he jumped. The parachute never opened. He hit the ground in 2 seconds. He died believing his invention would work. It didn't. Hans Steininger, on September 28, 1567. Hans Steininger was the mayor of a small town in Austria. He was loved by his people. He had been elected mayor 6 times in a row. But Hans had one unusual problem. His beard was 4.5 feet long. Every day he would carefully roll it up and tuck it into his pocket. A fire broke out in his town. Hans ran to help. In all the panic and chaos, he forgot to tuck his beard away. He reached the top of a staircase. He took one wrong step. His foot landed on his own beard. He tripped. He fell down the entire staircase and broke his neck. The beard he spent years growing, the beard he was so proud of, killed him. His beard still exists today in a glass case at a museum in Austria. Ayrton Senna, on May 1st, 1994. Ayrton Senna was not just a racing driver. He was the best in the world. 3 world championships, 41 race wins, millions of fans across the entire planet. He lined up at the start of the San Marino Grand Prix in Italy. He was leading the race. Everything looked normal. Then on lap 7, his car left the track at 186 miles per hour and hit a concrete wall. The crash looked survivable. Other drivers had walked away from worse, but this one was different. A small piece of the car broke off on impact and struck Senna directly in the head. He was airlifted to hospital immediately. Doctors worked on him for hours. That evening, Ayrton Senna was pronounced dead.